Okay, we define the sine and cosine hyperbolic as these, and here E is the Neper number, and e to the x is a special function. You know that because its derivative equals to itself, also its integral equals to itself. The derivative of sine hyperbolic equals to cosine hyperbolic, and the derivative of cosine hyperbolic equals to sine hyperbolic, like the usual sine and cosine. Here's another formula like the usual sine and cosine, but here instead of plus we got minus. Another one, the sine hyperbolic of 2x equals to 2 sine hyperbolic of x times cosine hyperbolic of x. Now let's find the inverse of sine hyperbolic, the inverse function of it. Now let's take the expression to be equal to y, then multiply the both sides by 2 like this, then write e to the minus x as 1 over e to the x like this, and then subtract it from e to the x. Now let's multiply 2y and the last fraction into e to the x like this, and subtract the right side from the both sides. Now here e to 2x equals to e to the x squared. So here it is a quadratic equation. Let's solve it for e to the x. Okay. Then simplify it like this. Now, according to the definition of logarithm, x would be equal to ln of this. Now, since the base of the logarithm is positive, the Neper number is positive, so in front of it should be also positive. So let's check two cases. The first one is when inside the parentheses we got y plus the square root. Now the square root of this is always greater than the square root of y squared, and the right side equals to the absolute value of y. Now for the positive values of y inside the parentheses, for the first case is always positive, but for the negative values of y would be equal to minus the absolute value of y. And now in the inequality, let's subtract the absolute value of y from the both sides. So the left side would be equal to, inside the parentheses, for the negative values of course, would be greater than 0 or positive. So the first case is always positive. What about if we got negative inside the parentheses? Minus inside the parentheses, y minus the square root. In that case, let's multiply the both sides of the inequality into -1, and then adding the both sides by y makes the left side be equal to inside the parentheses for the negative, for the minus case, okay, which is smaller than minus the absolute value of y plus 1. And now the right side is 0 for the positive values of y, or a negative number for the negative values of y. So inside the parentheses would be always negative. Then the second case is not acceptable. Finally, turning x into y and y into x gives us the formula for the inverse function of sine hyperbolic, and here's the inverse function of cosine hyperbolic. You could derive that easily. And finally, these are the derivatives of the inverse functions. As the last thing, here we got a hyperbola, a horizontal hyperbola, and this is its equation. Now, if you take x to be equal to cosine hyperbolic of t and consider this formula for sine and cosine hyperbolic, okay, from here y would be equal to sine hyperbolic of t. Okay, thank you.